Asteroid. Listen to it if you want, but this is the story behind it, because it's a concept album with like story elements, I guess. I'm just gonna go on an extended ramble. There's a bunch of reasons why I called the album Asteroid. The story reason is it's supposed to be like you rolled up on an asteroid and inside of it was like a retro game cabinet from space, right? And this is the soundtrack of the game. So the story itself is the game you're playing. So there's that. And also it's kind of like a shooting star too, or a meteorite, like something big, change, kind of like how ideas are. It's supposed to represent ideas in a way, and believing in yourself. Yeah, the first song shows the character getting the idea to start creating. Bobby, like, this is the beginning of an artist's like ego consuming themselves, right? So it just shows that they think that they're kind of like a step above for seeing things differently from everybody, and they're not necessarily looking at all the like elements about people's perspective and what matters. So yeah, that's what they're forgetting, I guess. It doesn't really talk about what they're forgetting, but it's more about the stuff I omit in the lyrics themselves. Like, this is all supposed to be from their mindset. So like the character is just super full of themselves, right? And there is, a determination behind that, like a passion, but clearly it's not very driven, and that leads us into Together. Most of the jump for fame is about the need for attention, and they cling to somebody when they probably shouldn't, and they use not necessarily the best tactics to even begin this relationship. So it's seemingly all set up to fail. They are obviously just like selfish. Like, selfish is the main thing here. This kind of segues perfectly into Secrets, which is really good. And the first song I finished, it's about cheating, right? Like, from the cheater's perspective. So the cheater is the main character, and they don't feel any care as to like hurting their partner, right? Who was introduced in the previous song. Secrets has like a lot of different elements going into it to kind of speak to their mindset, but most of it is the nonchalant nature. Like, they're happy to be hurting someone almost, and that's what the focus of it is. It's supposed to show that, like, at this point the quest for their goals has completely consumed them, and they have no chance of empathy, right? So that goes into the decisions they make. Basically what happens is Chloe shows Bobby to this place. It's just a weird place. Like, I was thinking warehouse on a dock, shipyard vibe, just a dark facility. That's all it's ever referred to as. Whatever kind of dark room you can think of, it's that too. But the idea is like this place holds a connection to dark forces, and so that's where Lorelai and Adelaide live, because they're twin sisters who have some kind of connection to evil. So they use this power in a ritual to give Bobby like the fame, essentially, some of that Illuminati type stuff, right? It's pretty basic, but essentially from there they don't really have a memory of exactly what happened, but they take the inspiration no matter what, whether or not the ritual is real up until this point, the inspiration behind it gives them like 8x ego, when their ego had already became to be their entire personality, right? So after this, it goes into interlude, and it's supposed to be the interlude, like everything's fine. At this point, Bobby's at the top of their game. They have no question about it, absolutely no question about success. It's coming, it's all rolling in. But then that brings us to Vices, because clearly they had proponent to seek out romantic attraction during times of stress or whatever, or times of uncertainty. They use that and it turns into drugs. That's basically all that happens. Vices is about, pretty simple. It's a really quick song too. Yeah, there's sister tracks. Deep is a lot more introspective on the feelings of being addicted to substances and still wanting to be freed but not being able to. And yeah, it's kind of better. It's a lot better. One of my best songs, I'd say. But it doesn't really matter. Both of the songs are essentially the same, plot-wise. The next song is Succubus. And Deep is deeper into the addiction cycle. So it's supposed to be pretty late game. Essentially, Succubus is the first half of their last night alive. And Chloe returns to them, and it kind of it's a conversation between them, but you only ever get Bobby's side, right? So the conversation is going on, and they're kind of expressing regret for making all the decisions they did in the past and even taking this path of evil. But the idea behind it is, because of the dark forces at play, they never really had any control over it anyway. So were they destined to die a sad, like, lowly death, or did they have the opportunity to make something of themselves for real? Who knows? Whether or not, we all do, right? That's what I'm kind of proposing there. But yeah, it's just that little bit of conversation that they have, and then I'm gonna call it alien orchestral breakdown is it essentially is supposed to be like a flow of dopamine from like a final drug high. That's what the song is supposed to kind of feel like. After that, they come back to reality, and they are living their last moments in the pain again. So they aren't able to even escape with the drugs because they snap back, and so they die like present. They are present in the moment when they die. That's essentially all the last segment of that is trying to show by swinging back into the hook. After that is At a Cost, and At a Cost is their final moment, right? They're laying on their deathbed, listening to a voice memo from their ex, like the first ex from Together, right? And that's when they're getting this reflective period that maybe it's about doing it with good intentions, you know? It maybe, just maybe, you gotta have the right heart in it, you know? That's the whole idea behind that one. But it doesn't matter, because it slowly fades off into their death, and last thing you hear is the drums, and that's kind of like a heartbeat, I guess. I don't know, it's pretty loose. But yeah, that's the album. This is a special message for anybody who listened to the album, or anybody who watched this video too, if you're just interested in this story for whatever reason. But it was a really interesting experience making this album, and I'm so glad to have made it. If I never get to make any more music, but expect more music. I love that. I completely fell in love with the process making music. this is my raw reaction to the album right after making it. I just gave it the first full listen, and yeah, it's great. It's great. I love what I did with it. There's some mistakes in there, but I don't care. Just like my life, you know, I'm not gonna tread on them, because overall I felt like I really gave exactly what I meant to give on this tape, you know. It's not as long as I wanted it to be. It's not as clean as I wanted it to be. It's not as story driven as I wanted it to be, but that's okay, you know. That's what it's all about, and I'm just glad I got to make anything at all. So if you checked it out, thank you so much for supporting me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel here and follow me everywhere else. Play my music too. Just keep that on repeat while you sleep. Alright, thank you so much. Goodbye.